Happy Rising Star Peoples. I'm your host, friend, and life coach, Mrs.Divine, and I bridge the gap between intuition and intelligence. So today you're going to get a different kind of feel from me because I'm going to be talking to you all, doing my spiritual work right here in the midst of my own what I do every day. So right now I'm currently making breakfast for my family, and that's what I do. So it's important for me to start bringing my spirituality, or addressing the fact that my spirituality isn't something to just be shown through these videos I make you by sitting in my office and focusing directly on you. When I do things like that, I am literally neglecting or cutting myself off from my family to focus on what I have to say to you all. But that's not how I set up my life, right? I set up my life to be able to enjoy being with my family and work at the same time. And that's what my mission is. That makes me happy. That makes life fun for me. And so that's what I'm going to do. So right now, y'all are seeing me in the kitchen, doing what mommies do, doing what wives do, or this one at least. And that is making sure my family gets some food in the AM. So today, I'm here to share with you guys some insights I got while going yesterday to the spa with my mother. So I went to the spa yesterday with my mother, and what I realized, because I did something, and what I realized is that it is literally mind over matter, which causes the shift in spirituality. So it's mind over matter that causes the shift in your understanding your spirituality. Okay, and what spirituality is, it looks different for everybody. But the way I like to define spirituality is I like to define spirituality as allowing your consciousness to shift inward in that inner spiral. So when you say spiritual, you hear the word spiral kind of in there. So to shift your consciousness inward to that inward spiral of a rabbit hole that is you. Okay? So when you start shifting yourself to understanding you and everything about you and who you are and how you're perceiving things, that is spirituality, and that is going to look different and is supposed to look different for every single one of us because we're unique. And the power in understanding what spirituality has to do with you, and remember when I say spirituality, that does not mean church. It does not mean you believe in God, whatever, but it does mean that you believe in something more than just you, your physical shell. Or if you are going to believe in you, a higher form of you, not just currently who you are right now and what you're experiencing, but that there's a deeper level and a deeper level than that, and so on. So if it's everlasting spiral effect, right? It's not a circle that goes around and around. It's a spiral. So don't get caught up in the cycles, right? The cycles are what we use to keep our spirituality growing, okay? So when you have spiritual practices, different rituals you do, these are the things that you want to keep in cycles. You want to keep looping them around so that as you're looking inward in your inner spiral for spirituality, that keeps evolving and growing bigger and bigger and bigger because your natural, what you call your habits, are now going to be considered spiritual because you see what it does for you inward and how that reflects outward for you. So I say all that to say that part of my spiritual work is understanding that you must balance your chakras, right? So you must balance your chakras. I'll do a different video on what chakras are. I've already done the root chakra. And I think this is what kind of sparked it, is me realizing how the chakras are important and introducing people to the basics by just merely introducing them to what chakras are. So watch my video on the root chakra, and I'm going to do an upcoming one on the sacral chakra because that's the next one being activated, right? So balancing your chakras are important. And how do you do that? You do that in different ways. And as you look at your life in the whole spectrum, not just what I do at work or what I do for church or what I do for my loved one, you will start to see how chakras are, balancing your chakras is something that you can incorporate into just about everything you do. And being aware of it is a thing that's going to keep you growing and keep that positive, vibrant energy flowing throughout. And you can see it through your life because, guys, seriously, my life is great. So my life is great. And before all this, before I became Mrs. Divine Awakening, my life was really good. My life was so good that it was going to take many different angles. It was going to take many different angles for me to be delivered to my consciousness, right? If your life is good, there's not many things that can shake you into thinking that there's anything you can do to make it greater because you got that good life. And when you're looking out at other people, sometimes you feel like they can't understand that or understand that when you're saying something like, no, seriously, I love my husband, or seriously, my children are great. I really want to revamp my life and spend the most time possible with my children. And then you hear people say things like, oh, that's what you say now. As soon as you start, you're going to be craving adult attention, or you're going to be craving to get rid of your kids and put them somewhere else. I'm like, y'all don't know me. Okay. So many people did not understand me because what I'm looking at it now is that my life was so great. A lot of things people complain about, I didn't have that to complain about. And I'm not saying that nothing ever happened in my life that I did not like, but I'm saying that that's nothing. That's nothing compared to what other people say is going on with them. Their level of consciousness is completely different from mine. And we could have had the same exact thing happen, but the effect it has on me is different from the effect it has on other people. And I never understood the meaning of this or why this happened until recently. And I realized that subconsciously, a lot of my spiritual rituals and programs have been running without me being aware of them. And I spoke about that on one of my other videos, right? About how I used to even just be like, whatever, everything's whatever. I had this unique ability to throw myself and the space around me into neutrality. Okay? That was my unique ability. And I'm saying it's my unique ability because it wasn't something I was aware of and it wasn't something I learned. It was just a way of how I operated. And I realize right now how that has helped me in so many different ways. Now, throwing your state into a spiritual, it's throwing yourself and your state of existence around you into a state of a state of neutrality. It's not the same thing as avoiding, and it's not the same thing as bypassing. They are two completely different things. All neutrality does is shift your lens to be able to have you focus on what's happening and process on what's happening in a completely different manner than if you took it personal. So it's like a block for you to take things so personal, right? Anyway, I digress. Back to what I was saying. So yesterday, I went to the spa with my mother. And at the spa with my mother, I went into this room, the sauna room, that is so hot. It is so hot, y'all. That's the first time I ever went into it. I was like freaking out so bad where I walked in. My friend said, "Oh, it's hot. This is the hottest room they have. It's like an oven. They have look at the signs." And I was saying how hot it was, and it was like an oven. It reaches up to 220 degrees. I'm like, she's like, "So it was really hot." I'm like, "All right, that's cool. I'm gonna sit in it for a little bit." I walked in there with her, and as soon as I walked out, I said, "Oh, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And the guy was like, "Get out. Get out. You can breathe. Get out. Get out. But you can breathe." And so he kept saying I could breathe, but I just walked right on out because I could not breathe. And I get out and he's talking to me and he says, "It's really in your mind." He's like, "You can breathe. There are lots of people in there sitting in there. They wouldn't do it if they couldn't breathe." And I was like, "All right, it's in my mind. It's in my mind." I psyched myself up. I went in there and I said, "I can at least sit in here for 30 seconds. And I went in there and counted to 30 and I got out. But I noticed when I was in there for that 30 seconds, I was breathing, right? So that was years ago. Followed up to yesterday when I took my mother with me. She loves the little sauna rooms, right? And I was telling her, "You like hot stuff, so you might love this room, but I'm not a fan of that room. It's way too hot." She was like, "Okay." She's like, "But I'm going to try it." I said, "Okay, yeah, definitely try it before we leave." And then when we got by the room and people were saying, "Oh, be careful, watch out for that room." Kind of like what I did to her, kind of pre-warned her. And Then someone else, my mom's like, oh man, okay, yeah, everybody warning me. Then this one guy says to her, you'll be all right. It's all in the mind. As long as you know you're good, you'll be all right. And I smiled within because I was like, there's a confirmation that I was giving her through my story. My story wasn't that motivational, encouraging her to do it, but it was, if you're going to do it, remember it's all in your mind, right? And so she got it from all angles. So she was like, all right, let's go now. Well, I'm feeling like, it's all in my mind. We go in there, we're in there. I'm sitting in there for like 5 minutes, not even thinking. You know why? Because I couldn't think. All I could do was breathe and connect to the breath because I knew it was all in my mind. So once I knew it was all in my mind, the only thing I could do to remember that I had the power over this was to connect to my breath. Breathe. You literally cannot be in a room like that or in a situation like that where it is mind over matter without remembering remember your power without connecting to your breath. If your only task is to breathe, the rest of your body and your world does everything else for you. Okay? Being in a room like that, if I was to sit there and think of anything else, you all right, Mama say?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Being in a room like that, if you were to think of anything else, like, I wonder what my children are doing, or, this room is hot, I wonder how many degrees it is, whatever it is, whatever thought comes across your mind, if you start to focus on that thought and dwell away on those thoughts, guess what? You're not going to be able to withstand the heat of that room for too long. Eventually, you're going to psych yourself out and think you have to go, or your body functions are going to kick in, where now you're too sweaty, or you can't breathe, or you feel like you can't breathe. These are the things that are going to start happening because you have shifted your focus, right? You've shifted your focus from breathing to focusing on things that do not matter at the end of the day, right? And so what mattered at that moment was me sitting in that room. So when we take ourselves to the fully present, we can understand how connecting to the breath is so powerful. All right? And it's not even just about, connecting to the breath is so powerful, but it also put me on top of, so what makes this experience so impactful for me? What makes it so impactful for me is because I realized that that's one spiritual thing that I do. And there are lots of spiritual things that I do that I am unaware of, okay? And that right there is the key to my great life. That right there is the key to me being able to say, I don't want to go to your house. I don't want to sit around you and what y'all got going on all day. There is a big part of me that wants to be with myself, with me, and inward, in my home, in my bubble, in my environment. I don't need the TV. I don't need this phone. I don't need social media. And sometimes I don't even need my children or my husband. Just me. Like that is what literally can fuel me from the inside up, right? And then I'm able to shine that. And when I am wanting to be around those other people, those other things, they all just mesh so great with me. And that's because of how I live my life. Okay, that's not because I make these videos. That's not because I want to help people. It's because of how I live my life. Okay, and what I realize is something I need to work on or consciously remind myself on is that the same way how I always preach. I have friends who will tell you that I preach trying to get rid of labels, especially on things that we hold dear to our heart. For example, I have friends. I found myself categorizing my friends from this is my funny friend, this is my my spiritual friend, and this is my party friend, right? Or my yoga friend, whatever. When you start having these labels on people, then when they start to evolve and change, you no longer see how they incorporate in your life or what they are there for you. Okay? And all my relationships, exactly, Mama saying. Yeah. All my relationships in my life. So remember I said I had such a good life. It was going to be hard for me to bring to my awareness that I could do more to make my life even grander. Because when you're already good, you're that person who's just able to be content. You're not always striving for more and more and more. That greed factor isn't in you. Then you're not necessarily looking for great because you got it good, right? So like I said, I was that person who needed to be hit at different angles in my life at this could be better, this could be better, this could be better. It's good, but it could be great. It could be fantastic. It could be everything you ever dreamed of. But what is that dream? I don't know. I never dreamt of it. This is what I pictured as good. I was like, what would make it a good life? No, what can make it even better than that, right? So I'm that person who needed that in different angles. And I got that through my relationships with other people. Through my relationships with other people who were close in my life. When I heard a saying and it was like, figure out who you are by looking at the 5 people you hang out with the most, and they will tell you a lot about who you are and what your life is. And so that's what I did. It was my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. It was my son, my sibling, and like 2 of my best friends, right? And I look at, and then it stemmed from that. Just looking at that, I got a good grasp on everything, right? But then realizing that it's not just those 5 relationships, it's every relationship that you are involved in. So then I started looking at everybody in relation to me, because everybody in relation to me is a relationship, right? And I started to see through them how my life could be better. So me talking to them, I looked at it like, oh, well, your life is good if you're looking at it from bouncing off your perspective to their perspective. But I'm hearing what they're saying, and is that showing up in my life? Maybe to some degree, maybe not. But it could always be greater. It could always be better. So through my awareness of who they were to me and the part that they played in my life, I was able to shift and grow intentionally, where I was putting more things into practice, doing more work on myself, healing myself from within, and being so open and willing to share that with others. Okay? So I say all that to say that part of my discovery is that my work, when I do these videos and stuff, and I'm doing my calls and stuff, that is so separate. I make that like a whole separate part of my life, and that's not it, right? That's why I may not put out videos every now and then and stuff, because I want to be able to like focus when I do that. But then when I'm focusing on that, I want it to be so perfect too. But I don't free flow. I can't free flow when I'm trying to make things perfect around me. I can't free flow. My mind is literally tasked with other things, right? Making sure everything is perfect around me. What's perfect for me is to be able to do everything that I'm doing right now for you guys and my business with my whole life integrated, my whole life in mind. And I'm going to do that through revamping my business program, okay? When you guys, I'm going to drop a re-grand opening of Mrs.Divine Awakening. And it's going to look so different, be so different. As far as one-on-one coaching goes, I'm not too sure how that's going to flow in there, besides the fact that members only may get that, okay? It's going to look so different. And even when it comes to Instagram and things like that, y'all who follow me on social media, y'all going to get a certain part of my life. But that's going to be so different from my whole life, and you need to understand that, okay? They're not going to get my life for free. Show me that you are personable. Show me, snippets of your life to make us seem like we're compatible and familiar. That's how a lot of people connect, but that's not me. And I have to stay true to my path. And how I connect is different on different levels, okay? I connect different on different levels. I'm going to connect to my friend who I say is my spiritual friend differently than how I connect to my friend who I say is my funny friend, okay? Now, if they were both sitting in the same room hearing the same conversation I had, it will reach them the way it's supposed to reach them based on how I know we are connected, basically. Or one way I see we are connected. So I'm not going to switch up or be different, but I know my people, right? I know when I say certain things, how it's going to register to who and when, for the most part, okay? So I'm choosing to shift my business around to be the same way. My business, you will see me, all right? And that's members only. All these other outlets that like to censor you and things like that, or even like to promote your stuff, the more you use them, I don't like using them like that. What I like using and love using is YouTube right now. But I feel like I'm going to love my program even more that I'm developing. But still, so I'm saying all that to say is that everything is going to start looking different. And if you like what you see on whatever you're watching me at, imagine what you're going to see if you're actually inside of my community. Okay? So, Star Peoples, let me see if there's anything else that I want to say to you. That's pretty much it. Besides connect to who you are internally, and keep balancing out your chakras. They're not something that once they're balanced out, they're just free flowing. Actually they are. Once they're balanced out, they are free flowing unless you neglect your work. If you neglect your work, you're going to keep running into things, okay? And what does that look like? That looks like that person who is spiritual may even be a spiritual coach and they have sudden bouts of depression, okay? What that looks like somebody who just can't be happy because they're in a certain space. What that looks like somebody who cannot be happy about their life because they don't have that partner they're looking for. They don't have that child that they want to have. They don't have that job that they want to have. These are people who simply cannot be happy with their current awareness of who they are and what they have going on in their life. So that's what that looks like. So whoever that was meant to reach, I hope it reaches you and reminds you that spiritual practice should be something that you do so routinely that it's not a thought of if I'm already good, right? I think we fall into the trap of when you understand spiritual work and you do it, like those who, for example, those who can't find it in the time in their day to meditate for even 5 minutes, right? They've never tried it, or they tried it once or whatever, but they don't put aside 5 minutes to meditate every day. Shame on them. You know why shame on them? Because they're telling themselves that everything going on around me is so important, I don't have time to find who I am. Okay? And and for those who have started meditating, let's say you really started meditating, right? And that's your one spiritual practice that you do. Okay? And when I say spiritual, again, I'm talking about going inward and discovering who you are. Okay? That's your one spiritual practice that you really do. And then you discover something like journaling, or you don't meditate that day, or you journal and you meditate, but today you're just going to journal. Tomorrow you might meditate and journal, but you didn't have time to journal today, or you don't have time to meditate today. When you start throwing yourself off of these, that's like capping. That's saying you have a cap on how much consciousness and awareness you want to have, right? That's like saying that I know that as I vibrate higher, when I get to a certain state of vibration, I'm good right there. I don't have to keep on meditating every day. No, because I'm already good. My life compared to what it was before is better. And I know it's because I've been doing these things, but I'm good today. I might do it tomorrow, and then maybe tomorrow you forget. It's okay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go hard. I'm going to go hard the next day, right? These are traps you fall into. Okay, if you think about a robot, it's assigned to do one task until it does it perfectly. And it can do that task over 1 billion times until it does it perfectly. And guess what? It's not going to be tired. It's not going to get frustrated. It's not going to feel like it's hungry or needs to do some dishes or needs to cook breakfast for its family. Its own one. Its mission is to keep on growing. Keep on growing. Keep that consciousness growing, right? So it can learn that and learn other things. You got to kind of build yourself spiritually like a robot. And I say that with the mind, I mean that like with the mind frame, right? You want to be able to keep your consciousness growing, your spirituality growing, no matter what. If you know that meditation is the one thing that has changed your life, there should not be one day that you go without meditating. If you know that you know the power of meditation and journaling, there should not be one day that you go without doing it. And I know everything can't be done every single day. And right there, I feel like I'm limiting you guys by saying that. So I'm not saying it like that, but I'm saying that like when I said earlier that there are lots of different ways we are always working on balancing our chakras. We're just not aware of them. I challenge you to go into your regular life once you learn about chakras. The people who I'm talking to, y'all know what chakras are, okay? Since you know about chakras, I challenge you to go into your life and just review what you're doing every hour or so, every 30 minutes, and what does that have to do with your chakras? is anything that's balancing out your chakras. And I don't mean just balance them out as yes in a good way. You could be doing things that are causing the opposite effect of what you want to happen to your chakras. You could be making it unbalanced or be feeding it something that you know is going to cause you complete chaos because you know what you know. You don't turn off what you know just because you're too tired to do something you know you should do. What you know is still going on. The truth is always prevailing, right? It's always revealing itself. So it is up to you to be that spiritual powerhouse. It is up to you to not cap off your spirituality. Meaning, if I wanted to manifest $1,500 right now, just so that I can, I don't know, pay for this trip I want to go on, right? And as soon as that 1,500 comes to me, oh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I have it, that I was, that it's here in my hands. That's not it. If I actually, after I got it in my hands and paid for the trip, got a phone call like, hey, check your bank account. I just dropped you some more money or something. Okay, I check my bank account and now I have 500 more. I'm not going to say, oh, no, that's good. I didn't need that. I only need 1,500, right? You want to keep that flow coming. You want to be an endless spiritual powerhouse, okay? You want to keep that power going because there's no such thing as having too much spiritual power. There's no such thing as being too conscious, right? It's something that's ever evolving, everlasting, is going to keep on going. That's the power in it. When you're able to charge yourself with that kind of energy from within, it keeps flowing out, right? And it recharges itself like the sun. It keeps going over and over and over again, and it's going to be there as long as you're aware of what's happening, right? If you are that person who feels like, I already got that $1,500 and that's all I want, I'm not even going to, they say that 500, that extra 500 came, I'm going to send it back. I don't need it. That's kind of what you sound like when you say, I know meditation has made my life great, but I'm not going to meditate today because I'm tired. Or I'm not going to meditate today because my baby has been crying all day and I'm going to have to nurse pretty soon or whatever. I'm not going to meditate, or I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to work out today when I know what working out does to me, right? I know working out makes me more energetic and makes me feel good and just has so much of an impact, a great impact for my life, my day. I'm not going to do it today because I feel tired or I'm on my period or just can't get to the gym today. You don't need to get to the gym. Figure out how to make it happen. Remember, everything outside of us is temporary and in this physical world is temporary and it's not important. Okay, that's manifested from your mind. So when you get off of the outside circumstances that are used as distractions, then you can focus inward. And when you focus inward, you realize that it's mind over matter. And it's you on top of that mind. Okay? So that's you sitting there looking at how amazing your mind is when you allow it to be so. You can't, everything that's going on in your mind, you don't want to get trapped there, right? To discover who you are from within, you're putting yourself on top of your mind, and you do that, and you become the true observer of life, the true observer of yourself. Exactly, Mama saying. And so when you do that, when you put yourself on top of your mind, then you realize the power of who you are and what you can do for this universe and everyone here around you. All right, Star Peoples. Have a great day. Remember, do not cap off your spirituality. Keep it coming. Allow it to be free-flowing like the rivers. Free-flowing like the cycles of the world. How you good? To be free-flowing of the cycles of the world, like how air can go into water and how it can go into fire and how it can be in the rocks, how it can be in the people, how it can keep on going. Keep free-flowing into that. Okay? Allow yourself to be that spiritual powerhouse that never stops. And she's fine, Star People. She's just playing with her food. Have a great, wonderful, wonderful day and keep rising to your greatness.